So everybody wants to change their life and they say that they want to, cue New Year's resolutions, but a lot of people don't really quite know how. What if I told you you could drastically change your life in the next 7 days by making small intentional adjustments? Curious? Stick with me and I'll show you how. Welcome to Motivate, Grind, Succeed, the podcast, the show that exists to help you simplify and systemize success with high performance habits in the 4 pillars of life. My name is Rasean, your host and your favorite internet nerd transformation coach. And today we are going to be talking about setting daily intentions to become the person you want to be and how to focus on those areas to help you to achieve the most amount of ROI in terms of your self-improvement journey. So this episode is going to be quite tactical, as typical. So get your phone, get your tablet. If you're a pen and paper person, go ahead and grab that because I actually want you to work on these activities. Okay. So while you're doing that, let me introduce what we're going to be talking about today. So a lot of people, you and I included, we feel quite overwhelmed a lot of times with a lot of the tasks that go on in life, a lot of the distractions that just seem to be nagging for our attention 24/7. And a lot of times we tend to waste things on things that just simply don't matter. And the result is frustration and a feeling of dissatisfaction. And we all want to grow and improve, obviously, right? That's why I've made this show, because I want to be able to help you guys and show you guys that there is a capability for you to be able to grow and improve on a day-to-day basis. But it's so difficult to know where to start sometimes. And the key is to focus on the areas of your life that need the most attention. We want to work on them systematically. But that's what this 7-day thing is about. If you want to call it a challenge, we can call it a challenge, but that's what this whole thing is about. By the end of this episode, you have a rudimentary goal map, so that way you can be able to see what your weakest spot is and be able to attack it head on. Day 1, that could be today, preferably, but if you know yourself and you know you'll do it tomorrow, I'll give you this one pass, but preferably do it today. Day 1, start by evaluating every aspect of your life. Every aspect. And if you're wondering, that's a lot of aspects. It is a lot of aspects. So what I did was I narrowed it down into the 6 major ones that essentially encapsulate pretty much everything. And those major aspects are, you ready to write this down? Number 1 is career. Number 2 is relationships. Number 3 is intellectual. Number 4 is physical. Number 5 is emotional. And number 6 is spiritual. Those are all the major aspects of your life. Again, career, relationships, intellectual, physical, emotional, and spiritual. When you write those down, next to each one, rate each area on a scale from 1 to 10. Obviously, 1 being, I am incredibly unhappy with this. I need this thing to be fixed right now. It's one of those, like, I will even pay somebody however much money they want that's reasonably acceptable to be able to fix this problem. To 10 is, I'm basically at the right hand of God. This could not get any better than this. Anywhere in between that. The key is to be realistic with yourself. If you're not realistic, truthfully, harshly realistic, this is not going to work. Rate each one. Where's your career? Are you happy with your career? Could you be advanced more than you want to be? Are you on the trajectory that you want? What is that looking like? Relationships. This doesn't have to be just romantic. This can be with your siblings, with your parents, with family members, with friends, with whoever. Interacting with people. That is a relationship of some sort. Intellectual. Are you at the state mentally where you want to be in terms of smarts and intelligence and being able to carry on conversations to the certain degree that it is that you want to be at? Physical. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Are you in the physical shape of which you want to be in? Emotional. Are you emotionally sound? Are you emotionally well? Do you have control and do you have awareness of your emotions? And spiritual, do you have a spiritual connection on a deep level, right? Do you have a connection to something that is spiritual? So rank everything 1 to 10. Honestly, pause me now, rank everything. And then when you finally figure that out, go ahead, add all those up and then divide by 6. So the max score you can get on this, if you have 10s everywhere and you have 6 aspects of life, simple math, 10 times 6, 60. That's the max score that you can get. So your average life score right now is when you take all those numbers, add them up, divide by 6. That gives you a snapshot of your overall life satisfaction. Is this not supposed to be some like scientifically backed thing, right? This is supposed to give you just a general rudimentary snapshot of what's going on. So now that you have an average score of what this looks like, what you want to do then is focus now back onto the breakdown list and focus on the lowest score. Pay very special attention to that score. That means this is the thing that needs your attention right now the most. It might not even be the thing that you want to work on. Chances are it probably will not be the thing that you want to work on, but it's the lowest score, which means it needs the most help. So, for example, let's say your physical health is the lowest. You want to pay very special attention to the physical health, and you want to make that the priority over everything else. This does not mean neglect all the other 5 aspects, but you want to prioritize the lowest one first. And you want to set small, achievable goals. Cue IPITs. If you never heard of an IPIT before, because it's your first time tuning into the show, an IPIT is an Incremental Positive Impact Task, which essentially is a task that is so small it makes failure of that task seem virtually impossible. For physical health, that could be putting on your running shoes and then walking around the block. That could be something that's very simple. Or it could be if you're already out and about, you have your gym bag and you pass the gym on the way home from work, you just go into the gym, walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes, and then come home. Simple as that, right? So if you want any help with that, I have a whole section dedicated to fitness topics because I'm a big fitness guy. And so I have a whole section of episodes dedicated to fitness, which I will link in the description for you. You all can go crazy with that and research that to your heart's content. Let's say it's relationships. Another example, consider how you can connect more with people, whether that be opening conversations, being able to be more relatable, likable, resolving conflicts, conflict resolution, all these kind of things. Focus on that. Make that the primary thing. Again, if you want more information, I have another whole section dedicated just to those kind of topics as well. So you can go ahead and check that out. However, even with all of that, if you don't want to go check that out, perfectly fine. Watch YouTube videos, find eBooks, read actual books. Make it your goal to make that lowest number as high as humanly possible. So therefore you can then raise that average score. Now, you might be wondering, what's the timeline for this? Well, obviously, the timeline I gave you was 7 days. Now, the idea is to make traction after 7 days. Will you go from a 2 to a 7 in 7 days? No. Most likely, you will not go from a 2 to a 7 in 7 days. However, the idea is that you are going to create traction and get into the habit of forming that capability to be able to continue to improve yourself over time. So the important thing that we're going to be focusing on for these next 7 days, days 2 through 7, is formulating those IPITs, getting into the habit of doing them consistently, whether you feel like it or not, and then tracking the progress. These goals should be realistic and achievable within the next 7 days. So you want to make the IPIT something that you can achieve within the next 7 days realistically. So here's, again, 2 examples. Let's say physical health was low. Let's say it's like a 3, just to throw a number out there. Your IPIT could be work out for 20 minutes, 4 days this week, or eat 1 healthy meal every single day. There you go. That could be something simple. Eat 1 healthy meal a day or exercise for 20 minutes, 4 times a week. That could be walking outside, walking on a treadmill, you're doing some burpees if you got stamina like that, whatever it could be. If relationships are the focus, make it a goal to call someone or text someone that you care about maybe twice this week. Just say, hey, I was just thinking about you. How are things? Reopen a conversation, reopen a relationship that's been closed off for a while. Just text them and say, hey, it's so simple. I'm literally going to give you the script to use right now for someone that you have not talked to in a long time. Hey, XYZ, that's their name. Randomly thought of you. You were on my mind. How are things? We haven't talked in a while. Boom. There you go. Send it. That was your responsibility. Just send that. I gave you the script just right there because I use that all the time. That's it. 1 sentence. That'll take you like 20 seconds to send. Hey, how are things? Haven't talked in a while. Send. There you go. You just reopened a whole new conversation just like that. Keeping track of all these things. Keep it in a journal. Keep it in a voice note. Whatever you want to do, but make sure you write it down. Do not keep it up here in the head. Make sure you write it down, because when you write it down and you put it from mental space into physical space, your brain has a very, very funny way of remembering things that are in physical space way better than it is in mental space. Because again, the brain is fantastic at creating ideas, but it's horrible at storing them. So you want to be able to store your progress and be able to visit it. So that way, as you continue to make progress, there's a twofold reason why you're doing this. One, you can be amazed at, wow, look at all the progress that I'm making. And the feedback loop then becomes shorter. And you like to get that hit of, wow, I accomplished something. I accomplished something. I accomplished something. And it keeps looping over and over and over again to get you into that snowball effect. And number two, it also talks about the whole aspect of if you break that chain, which I made a whole episode about that, which I will also link in this description. It's a very, very good episode. If you break that chain, it'll say, wow, it'll give you a little bit of a kick to say, ooh, why was the reason why I broke that? So now it's a level of accountability for yourself. But people are scared of accountability, which is why they don't do this. But I guarantee you, if you do this, you're going to start to see some snowball effect. And after 7 days, you just do it for another 7 days. Just doing for a rolling 7-day period. So after 7 days, just say, all right, we're starting over from day one, do it for another 7 days. And just be sure to not break that chain. Simple as that. So to quickly recap, what is it that you're going to do? Look at all the major 6 areas of your life: career, relationships, intellectual, physical, emotional, spiritual. Rank them 1 to 10. Find the average. So that way you have an average number to work off of. And then for the next 7 days, focus on the lowest number from the individual list and start raising that up as high as you reasonably can while not neglecting the other aspects of life. And then after you get it to a certain state, after about 7 days, if you're able to raise the number, then reevaluate the average. You'll see that the number went up. And then now you'll see this is how self-improvement works. Little by little, as you increase each of these areas of your life, each of these aspects, the average will start to increase slowly over time as well. But you'll notice why I say to not neglect, because the way averages work, if you neglect some areas and they start to drop, so will the average. So you see why this is going to take a lot of work, a lot of effort, keeping up with it. This is why people don't stick with self-improvement a lot, because it is a lot of work. But if you are serious about it and you really actually want to improve your life seriously, and you take what I'm saying and actually try to implement it, I guarantee you're going to start to see some change in your life. And guys, that's what I have for you for this episode of Motivate, Grind, Succeed, the podcast. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you implement something. And I will see you on the next episode. And guys, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Motivate, Grind, Succeed, the podcast. Guys, again, if you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to the show for weekly uploads. If you love what you heard, be sure to sign up for that email list. And if you hated what you heard, be sure to share it with somebody who will appreciate it. Also, if you guys want to get access to the show notes or any kind of resource or link or to anything that was referenced in this episode, be sure to check out that episode description below. You'll also find the contact information, any freebies, or any sort of thing from our little corner of the internet. Check out the episode description. It's going to be an absolute gold mine for you guys. Until next time, take care, and I will see you in the next episode.